You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a trunk, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club, like some bottles, impress them girls. It's more than life.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And I'm Ethan. And as you can see, I have a little bit different setup this evening. I'm at my mother's house, and you should always check up on your parents every once in a while. But first thing I want to do is give a little bit of a shout out to Izzy Poppy 504 and KRB 35. Izzy Poppy 504. He subscribed on the last video, and KRB 35. I think he gave a like and threw down a comment. So for anybody that subscribes and gives some likes, if I can figure out who likes and subscribes, I'll try to acknowledge you, and I really appreciate anybody that does that. But I got a lot of stuff on our plate this evening, so I'm gonna try to get all to that, and let's get to that. So can I get a menu? And first thing I want to get to is kind of a throwaway topic, and that's the I guess the rookie Demarco Jackson. He went on IR today, so that would be Tuesday, depending on when you listen to this podcast. So that was Tuesday, and that on the last podcast I mentioned talked about the linebacker depth, and of course just mentioned the linebacker depth and how I wasn't that confident in it, and how it was getting kind of shallow there, and mentioned how I didn't have much confidence in Chase Hansen and Dowell and the rookie. And then what do you know, Jackson, Demarco Jackson, he's on IR now. So that's just a throwaway topic. Don't really want to get into it much, so not much to say about it. But the next thing I want to get into is probably the biggest topic, the topic that most people are concerned about, worried about, upset about, is Jameis Winston's foot sprain that he had. I guess that was on Monday. He left practice early, and maybe I can make people feel a little bit better about it. Like I've said, maybe I can make people feel better about it, or maybe I'll end up making them feel worse about it. But I think probably by now people have heard that it's people are coming out and saying that it's not that serious, or they don't think it's that serious. I think I don't know who said that. Maybe they've kind of heard that kind of a roundabout way from Dennis Allen kind of saying that, and that's just kind of stuff that's kind of slowly coming out, that it's not that bad. But the reason I think it's not that serious, or not that it doesn't concern me, that I'm not as worried about it, I guess. I don't know how serious it is, but this is the reason that I'm not as worried about it, is because it's not on the same leg that it is on his previously injured knee. It's on his right foot instead of his left foot, which is the same surgically repaired knee. So that it makes me feel a little bit better that they're not related injuries, because a lot of times, like if you are coming back from like a serious injury, like a knee injury or like an Achilles injury, sometimes you end up like overcompensating, like say you have the knee injury, then a lot of times you'll end up putting more weight like on your ankle or your foot or your Achilles or maybe even your hip. And that'll end up causing you to maybe have like an Achilles tear like afterwards, So it makes me feel, I don't want to say better that it ends up being on his right foot, but it would make me feel a lot worse if it ended up being on the left foot. So that it seems like an unrelated injury to his knee injury, and then that we're kind of hearing that it's not that serious and it's just a foot sprain. And anytime we're hearing anything about a sprain around the foot or the ankle now, that's really with all the drama and the saga that we've dealt with and heard with Michael Thomas and all that going on a year and a half, 2 years, whatever you want to say, a year, however you want to do the math, that's up to you. It's very concerning, however they're calling it, serious or not. Any injury to your starting quarterback, as far as I'm concerned, is serious. So let's just hope it's not that serious. But anyways, let's move on to the next thing. And this is something I actually forgot. I want to get to this because I'm at my mother's house. Some memorabilia that I have here that I haven't taken to my place, but I kind of want to show you some cool Saints memorabilia that I have here that I've left here that maybe people would like to see that maybe they don't have, but they maybe want to see. So this one may bring back some bad memories, but it's still something kind of cool. This is a U.S. Today sports newspaper from after the Saints beat the Carolina Panthers in the 2017-2018 playoff game. But I just won't get into what happened after the next week after that. But that's kind of cool, the newspaper for that. But the things I have after that are a lot cooler. This is really cool here. This is a fleur-de-lis here, actually made up of arrowheads, and that's really cool. That's something I don't know why I don't have that at my place hanging up on the wall somewhere, but that's someone really took the time to find all those arrowheads and glue those on there. And like I said, I should probably have that at my place hanging up somewhere. And then these are really cool. I have 6 of these here. These are Fisher roasted peanuts mugs, and these must be from the 70s or 80s, and these are roasted peanut jars that are mugs. But anyways, I just wanted to show people these if they have like anything similar to these, and that's just cool old Saints memorabilia. But anyways, I just wanted to show people that because I come over here to my mom and I just had some cool Saints memorabilia that I have left over here. But anyways, I want to move on to the next subject, and this is some stuff here that might get some people riled up, or I don't know if any Buccaneers fans have started listening to my podcast, or people that are fans of Buccaneers or Tom Brady or whatever. But this is a take that I've never really heard anyone make on this subject before. But this is a quote from Cam Jordan that was made yesterday that ended up getting a lot of Buccaneers fans and a lot of Tom Brady fans riled up yesterday on Twitter and on Facebook and other social media outlets. But this is what he said yesterday that got people a little upset, and you could say cry. But this is what he said. What are they? This talking about the Buccaneers. What are they? 1-5 against us? Taysom Hill, Jameis, Trevor, which quarterback do you want to see us win with? And that really got people fired up in the comment sections over that. But that's not really what I want to talk about really, because the comment that really starts coming up about that over and over, the only defense or reply that comes up to that for every Buccaneers fan or every Tom Brady defender is, well, we won the playoff game. We won the playoff game. The only game that matters is the playoff game. Well, you guys can't win in the playoffs. Well, my response to that is, and this is something you never hear in comparison to the Buccaneers and their Super Bowl championship, and it kind of harps back to a different sport. And I know it maybe is kind of apples to oranges, but you still don't hear the comparison at all, which I think it's very similar. Is the is the Los Angeles Lakers and their championship that they won, I guess the same year, the same year, and everyone says that's a COVID championship, a bubble championship, a Mickey Mouse ring, and I look at the Buccaneers ring very similar, because honestly, the team during that Super Bowl run that really gave them the toughest game was the Washington Redskins that they played with Taylor Heineke, and the reason I really say that their championship mirrors a bubble championship very similar is, they taught a lot of the Buccaneers fans say, oh well, we beat the Saints in the Dome, we beat Drew Brees, and that well there were no fans in the Superdome during that game. There were no fans in Lambeau Field, and then Patrick Mahomes, he was missing his entire offensive line. The stadium, the biggest home field advantage during that playoff game was the Super Bowl for the Buccaneers when they were at home in the Raymond James Stadium. I mean, there were only a couple thousand fans in the Superdome home game. Hell, there were like 30,000 fans for basically their home game during the Super Bowl. So it's just weird that you never hear that brought up as the Bucs bubble championship ring and their game. And then you just that's the only defense that the Buccaneers seem to bring up is a game that happened going on a year and a half ago when the Saints have the two most recent wins. The game that happened on Halloween, which was a 36-27 win with Trevor Siemian winning out the game after Devin White horse collared, dirty played Jameis Winston. And then the most recent one is when the Saints blanked them with Taysom Hill at quarterback, and they're living in the past by bringing up that playoff game. And like I said, as far as I'm concerned, just like the Lakers bubble championship, their ring as well, as far as I'm concerned, is Mickey Mouse and COVID ring as well, COVID championship. So I look at it very much the same. So that's my opinion, and like I said, I'm just very surprised. I never hear that compared the same, and maybe it's because people have a dislike for LeBron James, and the dislike isn't the same for Tom Brady, but I don't really know why. But I guess I'm gonna move on to the next subject, and that's the preseason game against the Texans, and that's coming up on Saturday at the Texans at 7 p.m. And if anyone saw the Hall of Fame game against the Raiders and the Jaguars. Like that was not a terrible game to start out. It was okay. Uh, it was interesting. You got to see quite a bit of Josh Jacobs early on. Uh, Stidham played pretty good. Actually, he was surprisingly good. But overall, after about the first quarter or so, it just kind of broke down and wasn't that great of a game. But for some reason, I feel maybe it's because we're Saints fans and will be more in tune and engaged in the game. But for some reason, I think the Saints preseason game will be more enjoyable. And the reason for that is I think the Saints have more depth. So watching their backups will almost be like watching starters. So once they're if any of their starters even play, because of Jameis's injury now, I don't think we're even probably won't even see him start now. But because of the Saints have so much depth, seeing their backups would almost be like seeing some teams starters because their backups are so good. Like in their secondary, their secondary players that are backups are almost like starters because I mean you have PJ Williams, Justin Evans, those guys have been playing so good in training camp. They're almost like starters. You have Bradley Roby, Alante Taylor. Those guys would be some starters. Like their backup secondary would be like a starting secondary. So I mean that's like watching starters. And same thing with like their defensive line. You have Peyton Turner, Carl Granderson, Tano Passano, and then you have Malcolm Roach, and like that's like almost like a starting defensive line almost. So like the defense is almost like when there's the backups in, it's almost like watching a starting defense. And same almost goes for the wide receiver group, and that's because last year's wide receivers that are backups now were the starters last year with Marquez Callaway, Deontay Harris, and then because I think you'll probably get to see a lot from Adam Trotman because they want to see what he has to offer. They still want to see what he has, and then even on the offensive line, I think guys that were pretty much starters last year, you'll probably see Calvin Throckmorton, and then when it comes to like tackles, either you see James Hurst or you see Trevor Penning, and James Hurst was a starter last year. So guys that were backups last year, or I mean were starters last year, would be backups this year. So even when the backups are in, it'll be like seeing starters. So it'll be like seeing starters from last year. It would be like seeing the starting team this year or from last year. So I think this preseason game, even preseason game one, will still be very entertaining. And with just that going just off of that, I think the Saints will win. I don't know if it'll be by a big score, but I'm just going to put this as maybe a hot take, you could say. But I think the Saints are maybe going to have a couple turnovers, maybe just because the defense has so much depth. And I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to say that they're going to have a defensive score or have a turnover deep in the Texans territory, if nothing else. But I think that's all I have for you this evening. And with that, can I get a check, please?